my name is Igor, and in today's video, I want to share with you guys the conversation that I had with one coach from Kenya. His name is Coach John Thomas. Coach JT is a coach educator from Kenya Football Federation. He lives and works in Nairobi, and at this moment, he works at the professional level. He shared his thoughts and opinions about many football issues. So please enjoy and welcome to our conversation with Coach John Thomas. All right? See you. Okay, Coach, thank you for
Yeah.
coming. It's my pleasure. Very happy to talk to you. I have been trying, talk to people with different backgrounds,
hmm
uh, different, experience, different countries. So, and then, I had the opportunity to see you and meet you in LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So, I believe that's the good side of the internet. You know, we know there's a lot of bad things in internet, but you have a lot of good things in internet.
Yeah, yeah, we do.
So, uh, so thank you so much. I would like to ask you, please, if you could tell us a little bit about you, like a small bio. I always ask, coaches or professional soccer football people to, for maybe 1, 2 minutes, just tell a little bit about you. How did you become a coach? A little bit of your background, please.
Okay. Well, my name is John Thomas Nyakundi. Most people just call me JT. I am Kenyan, currently living in Nairobi. I was born and raised here. When I was young, I loved playing sports. I was an okay footballer. Mainly played rugby and basketball. Then, because of that, in the university, I went to study sports science.
Yeah.
While I was doing that, my old high school coach asked me to go back and coach. So I would go to class in the morning, in the afternoon, make the trek across town, coach at my old high school. I started by coaching basketball and then football, I think like a year or two after that. So all through university, I was going to class in the morning, in the afternoon, going to coach. So yeah, I went on that way till I finished. Then I think for another 2 years, I was doing that. At this time, it was basketball one part of the year, football the other part of the year. I tried a season coaching rugby, but yeah, that just didn't work out.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so from there, I started getting involved with different programs throughout the city. So one program in particular, they hosted like showcase tournaments and then selected the best players from that. So I was a scout, and then when the players were brought together, I'd be the coach for them to play showcase games in front of scouts. Then that developed into another opportunity where, because of my background in sports science, I joined like a company that offered sports science services to different teams in the country. So they started out rugby, but football is where it sort of got a bit more traction.
Hmm.
Then through that, I got into now sort of like the higher end of the game here in Kenya. Because of that opportunity, I think I got an opportunity to go work at Right to Dream in Ghana. So I went there for a year, came back to Kenya, did another program in the city.
Yeah.
From there, got into another program where I was in charge of the under 21s. Then from that, I started working for Gor Mahia. That's the biggest club in the country. So I actually just finished 2 years with them.
Yeah.
So now I'm currently looking for my next opportunity.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you, man. Thank you for your, small bio.
yeah,
Is interesting. All of us will have some, some history behind, And like I'm a former military guy. I
Oh,
yeah, so in my case, I had a career to stay in the army, but I decided to leave, and go deep and study soccer, all these things, education myself, educate myself. And
okay.
it's interesting because it's always tough days, struggle, challenges, uncertainties.
Yeah.
So I can hear you telling, and I can see that it's always hard time and hard work, and try to make things happen. So thank you so much. And for your experience, I would like to ask something that I believe maybe it's a question from a lot of
Mhm.
people. So how do you see youth development right now, in your country, in Kenya, right? And do you see improvement or like in the last 10 years, or you didn't see any change? How do you see, for young players or teenagers, adolescents to become a professional player right now in Kenya, in comparison with the last 10 years? What's your thoughts on that?
Um, so the thing about Kenyan football, it's still very much, I would say, in its infancy. Um, a lot of countries, even here in Africa, have way more advanced sort of development systems.
Yeah,
Um, the one thing I will say that's changed quite a bit these last maybe 11, 12 years is coach development. So we just got in a new sort of regime in the federation, but the one before that, they'd been around for about 8, 9 years. And one of the things they did quite well, I think, was coach education. So what's happened now is even at the grassroots, more or less, maybe 70% of the coaches you'll meet have at least an introductory, we call it the D license, right? So
yeah,
with that, so the last maybe before I started with Gormaya, the last 2 or 3 years, I've been doing some work with the education department of the federation. So I was teaching on some of the courses, and you see the difference that those 10 days makes. Like just in terms of how the coaches view the game, and what that's translated into is that grassroots players are coming into contact with coaches who are a bit more knowledgeable. And I think we don't really see the fruits of that now, but I think maybe 5, 10 years into the future, we're really going to start seeing the fruits of that because just the coaching itself is getting better. In terms of structures, I think it's still difficult for a young player coming into the system to make it as a professional here. Just one thing is just we're not a footballing culture yet. So the focus will always be on education, get an education, find a career in something else. That's what parents will be saying. That's what schools will be saying. That's what football is not seen as a viable career option, especially
okay,
as a player. Yeah, yeah. So that's the biggest challenge to overcome. Then the next thing is there's no sort of structure set up where you can come in one end, and as you develop through the years, you sort of see a pathway to a first team somewhere.
yeah,
Yeah, that's not yet happening here. We don't really have like a youth league structure. I know the last 2 or 3 years, the federation has been trying to set up something like that, but it's not yet quite there yet. most people who end up, let's say, playing in the Premier League here were either seen in high school
Yeah,
or you get scouted during the high school games. Maybe a team from the second or third division picks you up, and then from there, after a year or two, you're seen by a Premier League club and they
yeah.
sign you. Um, Very few. There's a couple of really good players who are picked up young by Premier League teams, maybe straight out of high school, but that's pretty much it.
So I'm gonna make a question, and
Hmm?
I'm gonna tell you my answer, and then I would like to hear your reflections, your opinion.
Yeah.
Uh, so the question is, why you didn't have yet an African nation to be World Cup champion? And I'm gonna tell you what I believe. I believe in Africa, you like us in Brazil and South America, Argentina, Uruguay, you have the raw material, no question about it. And but at some point between 12, 13 years old and the beginning of adult life, this window, let's say 7 years window between 12, 13 to 20 years old, I believe you lose talent, for a lot of reasons, no pathway, no system. But I believe that's the problem in Africa because the raw material you have, the most difficult you have, the raw material, right? Different from the United States, they have everything, facilities all over the place, but I don't see United States with good raw material in terms of amounts of kids, lots of good kids.
Mm.
In Africa, I see talking to coaches from many many countries. I can see that you have a lot of good kids, a lot of talent kids, but at some point, the beginning of teenager, you lose the talent. So, what is your opinion? Why we still didn't have an African nation? I don't know, Nigeria, I don't know, Angola, Mozambique, I don't know, but some country World Cup champion. What's your opinion about it?
So I think I've got two sort of parts to my answer. The first, I would tend to agree with what you're saying. I think we've got, and again, connected to what I was talking about earlier, because the coaching structure wasn't quite there yet here, kids sort of tend to develop just because they play a lot, right? Play on the streets, play with your friends, find a dusty patch of somewhere, something, and you'll play. You'll find kids. So wherever you go, especially a lot in like our lower like economic backgrounds, those areas, you'll find just kids out there the whole day playing. And for me, just as a coach, I think there's no coaching that's going to replace that, especially in the early years. Um, so there's a story that's told a lot here. There's an academy by the name of like Akakoro. They were based in one of the lower income areas, and they went for a tournament in Europe a couple of years back. And the story goes that I think the under 10s or under 12s beat Barcelona's like La Masia team, right? But if you look 10 years down the line, where that La Masia team, where those players are vis-a-vis where the players of this team are, and you sort of get to the point of what you're saying, I think without that structure from about 10, 11 till the point where someone is 18, 19, where they're expected to become a professional, I don't think you can cut it world football. The level is just too high. The intensity is too high. The physical development, the athleticism at that level is just too high. And without that focused work for those 9, 10 years, I don't think you can compete. And that's the thing we lack here because that needs investment. I remember my time at Right to Dream in Ghana. I asked one of the guys there, and he was like, it costs like $20,000 per student per year.
Wow.
So if you can imagine putting in, let's say someone comes into the academy at 11 and leaves at 18, that's 7 or 8 years at 20,000, like 140, $160,000 without you're not sure that this guy is gonna make it and become a professional and you'll make your money back.
Yeah.
So without that sort of investment, I feel like it'd be really hard for us to compete against the best nations, just as a continent. There's some countries that I think are heading in the right direction. I look at Morocco, I look at Egypt, but I think Kenya as a country, we're not yet there. We're not yet there.
Okay. All right.
Mm.
Coach, thank you. And what is your opinion, when you are talking to coaches in off, everybody has a lot of opinions about, let's say, 10 years old kids,
Mhm.
and they want to play for the team, and then they say, I'm a striker, I'm a defender, I'm a right midfielder, I'm this, I'm that. So I don't like this, especially, 10, 11 years old down. I don't like that. But what is your opinion about it? Did you have any issue with this in the past, or what's your opinion about it? Those young kids, 9, 10 years old, and say, I'm this, I'm that, I play this position. What's your opinion about it?
Uh, so I will prefix my answer there by saying I haven't coached a lot at that level. I think the youngest I've dealt with a lot was probably at the like under 14, 15 level. And by that time, I think it's important by that time to start to sort of have an idea about what position you like to play. But like I told you, my background, I come from a multi-sport background. So I don't think by that time, 10, 11, you barely even know yourself.
Yeah,
So I don't know how players at that age could start saying that I am striker, I am a this, I am a that. I think it's important to just build a holistic skill level. My in maybe let me talk about my approach a bit. I think just the trend in other sports globally is to move more towards positionless play.
yeah,
You have a skill set that fits a particular role, but that's you're not fixed to a certain position. And I think football, that's the next evolution of the game. So I don't think we should be pigeonholing players, especially from such a young age, into particular roles. I think with bearing in mind where the game is moving towards in the future, players need a
yeah,
bigger skill set. You need to be able to defend, you need to be able to dribble, carry the ball, you need to be able to pass, you need to be able to finish in front of goal, have skills in each of those departments. Maybe the goalkeeper is who will continue to be a bit more of a specialized role, but even the goalkeepers now, you need to be good with your feet. You need to
sure,
join play.
yeah.
You need to, yeah, so
Literally, you are a player.
yeah,
Literally, yeah.
exactly. So I really, some of my friends who coach at like academies and maybe when I go watch a session or two here and there, I really, I really don't like it. But yeah, I think yeah, it's gonna change. I think as the game continues to
Sure.
evolve, yeah, for sure.
All right, coach. A quick
Mhm.
question. Do you have a formation that you prefer, or how do you do when you take on a team? Let's say you start next week in a team. and you take over. And then you have you don't know the players. You know, of course, usually first week is the week that you start to see who is who. But what do you have in mind when you start with a team? Like you have a specific formation, example 4-4-2, or you prefer to see how the players respond to your
Hello.
stimulation and then you have your formation. How do you do with that? Oh, I think we lost signal.
Oh, Igor,
Oh,
you
yeah, yeah, yeah.
disappeared there for a bit.
Did you get my question? No.
I left it at whether I had a preferred formation. Let's say if I was to take over a team, then
Yeah,
you cut
yeah.
off.
Like if you have a formation already in your mind, or you prefer to see what's going on the first week, have a better understanding what you have in terms of players, and then you use any formation, or you have a specific formation. Like I like to play 4-4-2, for example. How it works for you?
Okay, so I think in terms of that, I've evolved over the years. I started coaching 10 years ago, and at that time I was very much 4-3-3. I don't care how my players look or who I have, we're gonna play 4-3-3. I think like 3-4 years in, I met a group of players, and especially like the front five was so good. So I found it a struggle to have everyone on the field in a good position playing, in a position where they'd be effective playing 4-3-3. And that sort of set me down that track of, okay, I needed to figure out if I was
Yeah.
ever in a situation where the 4-3-3 doesn't make sense, what am I going to do? And we really struggled that year just because I wasn't able to figure that problem out. And fast forward maybe 2 or 3 years when I was with the under 21 group, I realized that playing one way, if we're good enough at it, you know, but also just thinking about, because it was still a development program, thinking about that and am I maybe not exposing them to enough, let's say, tactical variety, such that if they were to move into a different environment that's not playing 4-3-3, would they be able to adapt? And even now, these last 2 seasons, playing at the top league, the top level, I've seen some of the head coaches I've worked and I've seen the value of being able to change game to game, even within a game. So
Yeah.
now I'm a lot more flexible. I don't really care about the formation. I care about the two questions I need to answer are what profile of players do I have and how can I put each of them in a position that would help them be their best. So
Okay.
yeah, if I have someone who's traditionally, let's say, a winger, but he's not so good 1v1, but he's very good at maybe connecting with other players, maybe playing him on the inside in the half space would be better than just giving him a role as an out and out winger, that sort of thing. So that's where my thoughts are now. I'm not dogmatic about any formations. The important thing is what are the players' profiles? What do they do well, and where can we put them so that they can be effective? Mm.
Okay. All right. I got you, coach. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. So two more questions, and I know that the time is running out.
yeah.
One would be about futsal. If you have experience, if you like, if you think it's important, especially for the early years, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. What's your thoughts about futsal in terms of development of soccer, of football IQ? The cognitive aspects. So what can you tell us about futsal in your viewpoint?
So I don't really have any experience with futsal. It's not really a thing here, but the thing I think is valuable about futsal, especially the younger ages, and more so, I think in countries where maybe the football has been formalized a bit too much. I think futsal is brilliant. One, because fewer numbers, fewer players on the field. Players get more actions, and just because of the surface, the play is faster. So you have to. It sort of forces players to develop just quicker
Yeah,
processing skills of the environment and everything. And I think also the skill aspect of the game, so being able to manipulate the ball with your soul, the sole of your foot, that sort of thing, the sort of combinations you can get into two, three-man combinations. I think there's a lot of value for that in development of young players. And
sure, yeah,
I think you can even see with some of the stuff like the German Federation is doing, focused on, I think it's called Fanino or something, the 3v3, that sort of thing. I think it's all sort of based along those lines of
yeah.
making the game a bit more accessible, fewer numbers, faster surface. Yeah, so I'm all for, I'm all for it, the younger ages.
All
Even
right.
like, sorry, just to go on a bit, even like with older players, I think futsal in a professional environment could be
Yeah, yeah, I
a
know.
really interesting idea.
Sure, yeah. It's a question
Yeah,
that I like to make because, in South America, futsal is something like it's impossible you imagine football without the futsal, for kids.
yeah.
It's all over the South America.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you, coach, for your opinion. And my last question would be about women's soccer. And
Mhm.
it's we just finished the America Cup. We just finished, Europeans.
Mhm.
Uh, Here in the United States, women's soccer is strong. Is doing well. Of course they want to improve, but it's doing well. In Brazil, it's better. You know, it's better. If I look 10 years behind me, it's much better now. And for people that don't know, how is there in Kenya? It's improving. It's stagnated. How is for girls and women play soccer there in Kenya, please?
So I think in Kenya, the women's side of the game is a lot more successful than the men's side. So I think our girls and senior women's national teams, the youth and the women, outperform the men in terms of qualification for tournaments, I think in terms of their win rates. So women's football is rising really, really quickly here in Kenya.
Nice.
Also, just in the region, like I know neighboring Tanzania, players in their women's Premier League get paid better than a lot of teams in our men's Premier League here in Kenya.
Oh,
So women's football here is on the rise. There's a lot of programs looking at developing female coaches. There's like a whole department sort of just focused on women's football at the federation. High school games, their games draw a lot of big crowds, a lot of numbers. And the local league here, it's growing. It's growing. I think we're seeing a bit more investment going into it from the different clubs. So yeah, I think
okay.
if I was sort of maybe like an investor,
Yeah.
I might be tempted to go put my money behind women's football here in Kenya over men's football.
So yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
in your Premier League,
Mhm.
you have like the same team, the same club. You have men's and women's soccer, or is different? How to often, or
Uh,
depends on the club.
no, so for the last, I think, 2 years, with the new club licensing rules, every team playing, for you to get a license to be a Premier League club, you need to have a women's team.
Oh, like in Brazil, yeah, 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 yeah.
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 Now, it's not necessary that that women's team is also playing in the Women's Premier League, but you
Yeah.
do need to have a women's team to play in the Premier League.
Okay. All right.
Mm,
Yeah. That's
mm,
good to help the improvement, help, yeah, the growth. All right.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Coach, uh,
Yeah.
JT, right? Coach JT.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Coach, thanks so much again. Okay. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. It's very nice to talk to people, from all over the world. So thank you. I hope, soccer we never know, and we can meet each other one day in something. I don't know,
Yeah.
can have more conversation like that. So my
Yeah.
pleasure to have you here,
No,
and
thank
I
you.
really appreciate.
Thank you. Thank you very much for reaching out. Yeah, it's amazing what LinkedIn can do, how it can connect people.
Sure,
Obviously,
yeah.
mine, it was a pleasure. I'm always down to talk football. I'm always down to talk African football. So yeah, thank you for reaching out. We had a
Okay,
great
all right.
conversation. Yeah.
Thank you, coach. Thanks so much. Have a good day. Okay. Thank you so
You
much. Bye
too.
bye.
You too, Ego. Bye bye.